Hi, welcome to Tarot and Tea Tuesday. It is a waning moon. I don't know if anyone saw the moon. Was it last night or the night before? In my neck of the woods, there was really clear sky. I think it was the night before last. Yeah, really clear sky. No, it was in the morning, actually, yesterday morning. And the moon was just like right up there in the center of this pale blue sky. It was quite lovely. And we are in the day where we move from Taurus, Sun in Taurus, to Sun in Gemini. So there's a couple of transitions going on. We're moving into the colder times where I am as well. And I know I said last week I was going to start doing tarot and tea earlier in the day, but that's actually going to start next week. For now, after the new moon, because we've got a dark of the moon coming next week, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of shifts and a lot of changes going on. So that's what I would like the reading to be about today. Something else I mentioned, I don't think I got any questions. Let me double check. But something else I mentioned last week was aside from starting at a later time of working, I'm going to be working with one deck for a period of time, because I really feel like after going through my tarot trunk, which by no means has been exhausted, I think I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed with how many different decks there are in there. So I thought I've been inspired to just do a bit of a deep dive into a few that are my favorites, and maybe pass some along, start giving some of the ones that are in there. And to do that, I just really need to become a bit closer and a bit familiar with each of them. So anyway, today I thought I'd pick a deck that is my favorite. I tend to do a lot of my readings for other people with this deck. And we have played with it not that long ago, and it's part of that crew, that work with Will Worthington, or part of that. This is the book for it, the Wildwood Tarot. So yeah, Will Worthington's the artist. Matthew Ryan and John Matthews are the authors. The reason I really resonate with these is that I guess a lot of the spiritual teachings that I've had access to have been very much based on Old English culture. So there's a lot of that in here, but it's like the deeper sort of, or a more well-rounded view of that culture, and more the variations of shadow and light are all kind of represented in here. So I resonate with the symbolism really well. There's a lot of plants and animals, and yeah, just really easy to connect with. So, and the tea, the tea we're going to be, I'm drinking. So something else that's been happening, I think, in these colder times is I'm drinking less water. Normally I drink room temperature water, so I just have a bottle, like quite a big bottle, just sitting there, not insulated or anything, and I just like the room temperatureness of it, and I can have a nice big drink. But lately room temperature water is way too cold, and so my that process, which has been unconscious, of just taking a drink regularly, I've been unconsciously not doing it because the water's too cold. So what I've been doing is having herbal teas, sort of weak herbal teas. So they don't take up too much of my water supply from being processed, and they're actually contributing more water than they're taking from me. Anyway, weak herbal teas. Today we've got, I thought I'd do lemon, because my tree out the back, the lemons have finally come in and turned the right colour, and they're really delicious. So I've just added some lemon to some hot water, which we've all had. A lot of people have it with honey too, which is as you probably all know, really great for sore throats and upper respiratory issues. But yeah, I'm literally just doing it as a way of staying hydrated. I do it in the peak of summer too, in cold water when it's really hot, because lemon, I don't know what it is, but there's something about lemon that just feels like it's being absorbed more thoroughly. The water's being absorbed more thoroughly than if it's not in there. And citrus is pretty incredible actually, because it's very, here's the thing that I read about with citric acid is that it does something. Okay, so a lot of people are told if you've got kidney stones, have lemon in water every morning. I think it's sort of better, well, from what the limited research I've found, it seems to be better as a preventative, not as a cure. But I looked a bit further into that, and apparently it's because the citric acid creates a sort of pH osmotic pressure. That means there's more volume to our urine when we have citric acid in our diet. So that means there's a reduced chance of kidney stones being formed. But I wonder too if that's why I have that feeling of when I'm drinking water with citrus in it, it just seems to sort of fill me up, rehydrate me more effectively. Anyway, rambly, citrus is great. Also, I've been having a bit of lower iron, feeling like my iron is low. So there's lots of vitamin C in lemon to help absorb the non-heme iron, which is how I have my iron. So lots of good reasons. Antioxidant, smells delicious, grows in the backyard. What more could you want? Here's to lemon. I'm sure there's more things too. So let's get into this reading. Okay. Here we have, get my angles right. Actually, what if I do a little bit like less bright, maybe? No, not quite. The woodward. Let's get a good look at that. Oh, doesn't. Yeah, it's that weird focus thing. Anyway, the woodward. Sorry, I'm playing around with the camera. So is that like a lynx or what a cool looking cat. That's so cool. If I can find out a way to upload pictures onto the Patreon page, I will definitely add a picture of this card. So here we go. We've got this character looking quite, look at that face, set in their ways, watchful, ready for anything. Even though like the cat there on the side, whatever kind of cat that is, which I think is a lynx, is just chilling. It's still like its head's up, its ears are up, it's still alert. I feel like it's a similar posture with this human character as well. And the eagle in the back. And see how they're all kind of like lined up on this side, looking this way. Everything's sort of like looking ahead, looking at what's come. No, not looking ahead. More like, okay, I know what's behind me. All of my attention is what's in front of me. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. And it's very watchful. So the eagle's got that eagle view. So like, watching from that perspective. And then there's this humanoid figure that's like watching from that perspective of humanity and what it means to be human. And then there's this other perspective which is lower to the ground, a bit more connected with what is natural, what is earth-based, what is primal, what is more sort of wild, what's the wilder aspect of this perspective. So yeah, I really like that, the three perspectives there being represented. I'm pretty sure it's the strength card as well. So if you are familiar with tarot, you will know that the Strength card is often like a female figure with her hand on like a lion maybe, or a big cat. This is the Rider-Waite, Pamela, whatever her name is, Cooler Smith something. Anyway, sorry, I don't know that. But it sort of represents, like it's this powerful looking female figure, usually with her hand on a big cat. And I always read it as, being able to harness the wildness that is in that animal and draw on it to bring a controlled and directed kind of power and potency and strength. And even the name, the Woodward, I imagine it comes from the literal translation, the ward of the woods, someone who's a caretaker of the forest and what belongs in it, what lives in it, what all that it entails. So I feel like too, maybe it's like on the edge of that forest, sort of looking out and going, okay, how can I make sure whatever is out there when it's coming this way it's going to have to go through me. Basically, it needs my approval before it can enter. There's a weapon there as well, and the cup, the chalice. I think the moon's in Aquarius at the moment, so I feel like that. I was having a conversation with my brother who is Aquarian the other day, and he said something really simple, but when you hear something, you've thought about it a lot, you hear it a lot, but someone just puts it in a way that just goes, yep. And he said, "Oh, you're a Gemini. You're like a mirror, because we're both air signs." And he said, "I'm an Aquarius. I hold the emotions. You're like a mirror, and you reflect them." And I was like, "Oh, very simple logic, but makes a lot of sense." So I feel like in regards to this card, it is, and because of where the moon's at, that's why I'm bringing it into our attention. Is that it being on that, being an edge keeper like that, really does require you to contain your emotions in a specific way, in a predetermined way, so that they don't interfere negatively or interrupt the natural way that you should be responding to situations. No, that's not right either. So that they don't dominate how we respond to situations, how we respond to things coming in. That's better. So the Woodward, I feel like what I'm getting from this in terms of, and it's like, that's another thing that just came to me. People often ask me, what is a hedge witch, which is how I identify my spiritual path and my spirit path. And the easiest way to describe it is that being on the hedge, so being in between two realms, being between the forest and the people, or the shoreline, like being between the ocean and the land. And this card, the Woodward, I feel like that's their workplace, is on that edge between two realms. And when you're an edge keeper like that, there's advantages and disadvantages. I feel like the advantage is that you have access to the information from both sides of that borderline, that edge. But also it means that the level of responsibility that you feel is probably greater than if you just lived in one or the other reality. So there is a sense of responsibility with this, and but also, the resources to be able to take that responsibility. And yeah, it's a very good indicator of the life of a hedge witch. So if I'm going to relate this now to this time coming up, like we're just after the last quarter, the waning quarter of the moon. So we're approaching a dark of the moon next week. we're deepening into winter, like the solstice will be next month. As we move towards these things, I feel like this card is like a reminder that, remember that there are different ways of perceiving situations. There's the raw, wild, instinctual part. There's this logical human approach, and then there's this ethereal overview perspective, and that it's kind of important to make sure we're allowing all of those perspectives to come into how we move forward and move deeper into ourselves during the colder months. Also, I feel like there's an amount of sort of boldness and courage to this too. So often when we come into colder times, we can sort of withdraw and contract. So sort of like stop moving. I feel like this card is saying, don't do that. Like maybe just be more controlled in the move, or not controlled, be more direct about the movements that you make. I feel like it's a good opportunity to start taking some risks. Maybe that's what this card is saying. Like if you plan things really well, gather all of the information, hold yourself strong, and contain those emotions appropriately, then there is a way you can step forward and into something that might be new territory, or crossing over into different areas, different realms, to gather the information that you need, all the resources that you need to achieve your goals. So it's kind of a positive card. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it at that, because that feels really good, sits well with me. So thank you for being here and listening to that. And thank you to Will Worthington for inspiring me with that image. Cheers. Have a really lovely week. And I will see you literally moments before the dark of the moon next week. And it will be earlier in the day. Have a good one. Bye.